Hey everyone, welcome back to my Teresa. I do videos on literally whatever I want because I don't like putting myself in a box. And yes, you are starting to get videos of me in my pajamas because it is flipping cold. I don't even know what we got for total inches of snow earlier this week, but I want to say like 8 inches of snow, 9 inches, maybe even 10 inches of snow earlier this week. So I just want to be cozy and stay warm because it's basically already winter here. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about how I kind of grew up in this anti-medical, anti-pharmaceutical family and how I really found my own belief in medicine and yeah, and even just like the medical field, honestly. So, like this video if you liked it, and be sure to like it if this one helped you, because I know a lot of people grow up in these like anti medical kind of families. And so it's really hard to undo what you were kind of brought up to believe. And so I would love it if this video helped you, if you liked it, because that would be amazing. And then let me know your thoughts and maybe even part of your story like down below, because I would love to hear about it. So, and be sure to hit the bell for notifications. I post every single weekend. Now let's get into it. So, growing up, we did go see a doctor, and it's not like my parents didn't take us to the doctor or anything like that. We weren't anti-vaccine or anything like that. Um, it just took like a lot for my parents to actually like take us to a doctor if anything was really like wrong. So I will say like my upbringing in the medical field as far as just all of that stuff goes is different than my two older siblings. So I have two older siblings, an older brother, he's the oldest, and then an older sister, and then it's me. So I'm the baby of the family. And my situation is completely different from theirs. FYI, we are all adopted, and so we all have just different genetics. And so yeah. Um so when I was at the age of 7, I think 7 or 6, I don't fully remember. 7 or 6, first grade, I was diagnosed with precocious puberty. And so up until that point, we just had a family doctor that we saw. We did not have a specific pediatrician. And that's because back then, my current town now was not that advanced. Luckily, we have a few pediatricians now, I think. I know we have one, like, for sure, that's an actual pediatrician, not just a family medicine doctor. And so, yeah, back then we didn't have like really anything. Resources were really, really low and basically non-existent to some degree. And unfortunately, we still kind of have that issue now, but it's gotten a lot better. So I'm pretty sure it was the family doctor who was like, hey, she's growing really, really fast. Why don't you go see an actual pediatrician who specializes in kids? Excuse me. And I think with pediatricians, it's really focused on like growth and stuff. So he ended up sending me over to this other doctor who's a pediatrician. She ended up practicing on her own. And so she was not associated with any of the clinics here. And so that's why none of these like medical records of mine exist. Um, because who knows what happened to those medical records. And this was long before patient portal and stuff like that. So this was like early 2000s, by the way, you guys. Ended up seeing that doctor, getting the diagnosis of precocious puberty, ended up treating it with the birth control, the depot shot. And I literally did that for like 3 years. And then after like, I don't want to say it was cured, but like after treating it, I just ended up like not having a doctor for the rest of my life. So would have ended in like fifth grade, well, fourth grade, I would say. Because I think 4th grade is probably like the age that like earliest wise you can like get your period and like be okay, you know? So literally like 4th grade up until like my first 2 years of college, I did not have a primary care provider. And it really, really sucked because let me tell you, once I started working in daycares and around kids, I was sick 24/7, especially that first year of high school. Like I was sick constantly and it wasn't good. Like I was miserable. I remember like my tutor putting her hand on my forehead and being like, "You're warm, but you're not like burning up. Like you seem warm just because your body's trying to fight off the infection, but you're not like fever or need to go home kind of situation." So when it comes to like colds and stuff, it took my family like a really long time to bring us in to go see somebody. I don't know at what flipping point it was that like at some point it was like, okay, now we do need to get them in to see somebody. I remember my sister and I getting bronchitis in I think like elementary school and having to be we went into the ER. Like my mom drove us and we went to the ER and got that whole situation figured out. And yeah, we just never really like regularly, I would say, go to the doctor. And like when things happened, it just took a really long time for my parents to be like, okay, yes, they need to go see a doctor. This is a little bit TMI, but we are talking about medical stuff. But I remember the very first time I had a UTI, and it actually started to go into my kidneys, which can be very, very dangerous and life threatening if left untreated. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night, like crying because my back had hurt and just looking up, what was going on. And it turned out to be like a UTI and whatever. And the next day, my dad was blowing snow and I was like, when are we going to go to the doctor? Like I woke up in the middle of the night to pee and then cried at the threshold, I guess, the doorway of my parents' bedroom and being like, I have to go see a doctor. I have to go see a doctor. And then my dad was clearing snow and I asked him like, when are we going to go? And he's like, oh, you want to go like now, like relatively soon. And I'm like, well, yeah. Um, when I woke them up, they just told me to take like an ibuprofen and go back to bed. And so, yeah, my dad finished up, went and got that taken care of. But I will say too, like my dad is a lot better about the medical stuff than my mom is. And it's just weird because I want to go into nursing. So it's a little bit weird in that aspect. So I didn't really establish an like healthcare team until my first 2 years of college. That's when I started asking people like, who do you see for a primary doctor? What clinic do you go to? All of that kind of stuff. And somebody had told me about a doctor. Well, I don't even know if somebody even told me about the doctor I had before my current doctor. But the clinic that I currently go to was really like hyped up, and I heard really positive things about them. And thankful for that because the other like clinic that I could have gone to, I don't know, like I didn't really have that great of an experience with them. So I was like, yeah, I'm totally down to go to this other clinic. And so I had actually, maybe it was myself who had found my previous doctor and was like, figured out, no, this, um, so when I searched, sorry guys, my memory is like slowly coming back to me. So when I asked people for like recommendations, I didn't know at that point if I should have just gotten an OBGYN or I didn't know what the hell the different kind of like medical like professions there were. And so I did end up getting suggested to go to an OBGYN because I was having weird things happening that I thought was related to like hormones. And so went to an OB-GYN and then she actually referred me to a dermatologist and eventually referred me to a primary care provider. And luckily, that was with the current clinic that I go to now. And luckily, she actually put me with somebody who was also Indian, which was like huge because I was like, oh my gosh, yes, like not that I care about the race of my doctor or anything like that, but it was just kind of like easier because I was like, okay, we're both Indian. Like she might just know more than obviously like a white doctor, you know? So I ended up getting referred to a dermatologist and a primary doctor, and I was really, really happy about that. And so, yeah, I had really good experiences with both of them, and they're within the same clinic too. So, the same like big clinic, I guess, because the one my dermatologist is a two. Until we were really like kind of dying, my parents didn't take us to go get checked out, and yeah, um, we kept up on shots and all of that kind of stuff, but I definitely know that like after I was done seeing the pediatrician after fourth grade, I probably did not go every single year to go see a doctor because the first belief that I had growing up was like, you do not see the doctor unless there is something actually wrong with you. And which to me, that means you don't go see them unless you're actually having symptoms and you wait like a solid week and it doesn't get better. And then you consider going to see a doctor kind of thing. And as I know now, as an adult, not everything has a symptom to it. Even have the symptoms for it, but you might go in for a routine screening and they catch something. So that was something I had to like undo right away. Um, but the big thing that kind of got me to start believing in my own medical stuff and that got me to actually like create a connection with a doctor and stuff was back in December of 2021, which is crazy because that's when I met my current doctor. I ended up doing something to my back. I have no clue like what it was doing. I literally leaned over the sink to spit and I had pulled something in my back and then I started having like numbness kind of like going down into like my buttocks. And I know I'm the one person who just said buttocks, but you know. And of course, this happens 5 minutes before I'm supposed to leave and get the kids and get them places. And so it really did not like get any better within a few days. And I was like, it had just hit me. I was like, I need to go get this checked out. And so I like told my mom and my sister like what had happened. And I ended up calling my primary care provider, found out that she ended up moving and that I needed to find a different one. But luckily I like called the clinic and the lady on the phone, God bless her, because without her, I would not have my current doctor, and I just can't picture my life without her in it. My so the lady on the phone ended up saying, I think you should go and see a I almost don't want to say it because I think my doctor, it might give away who my doctor is, but um, I guess I can say it. She said I would suggest seeing a DO instead of an MD, excuse me, because it is a back issue. Um, you probably want to focus more on not just like the symptoms of your back, but like you as a whole person kind of thing. And so she's like, you know who I really like? And then she said the name of my doctor, and I was like, yeah, okay. And so, excuse me, you guys, let's take a little bit of water break. I feel like the dry mouth with Fenterman right now is like catching up again. Not even that, just like obviously it's that time of year for like extra mucus to just be existing in your system. So So yeah, so ended up getting an appointment with the doctor, and I told my parents, my mom about it and my sister about it, and they both were like, "Well, why aren't you going to see a chiropractor for your back issue?" And I was like, I need a primary doctor. And that was really like my solid reason. I was like, I'd rather see a doctor first and then get referred out to a chiropractor if needed. And so ended up meeting my doctor, and that was that. So um the thing is, my older sister is a biochemical engineer who thinks she knows way more about medical stuff than actual doctors do. And she is very, very anti pharmaceuticals. And so she kind of has the belief that everything can be cured with supplements, kind of. I did not turn to my sister because, quite frankly, supplements are not tested from what I know, and you really don't know what you're putting into your body. And yes, that is kind of true with actual like medications, but at least with medications, your doctor knows about it. And then if things, you have a side effect, or, you have a weird side effect that's not usually expected with that medication, at least then you can go and talk to a person and be like, yo, this is what's going on with my body. And you can go about it from there. With supplements, you can't really do that. And the thing is, with supplements and weight loss, when you have a huge amount of weight to lose, supplements aren't going to help with that. Honestly, I think, my own personal belief, I think if you're going to do supplements for weight loss, I think it's best if you go that route. Maybe if you only have like pounds to lose. Is it going to help you when you have to lose 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds? No. Um, so yeah. So she's very just like anti-doctor and everything like that. I even explained to her how like my doctor's a DO and how it differs from an MD. And she's like, well, it's not really like different. Um, their training is very much the same and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, that's true. But yeah, we've had multiple conversations when it's kind of like she tries to get me to not trust my doctor. And so it's really hard in that aspect. And I have a mom that's kind of like the same way. Like she hates going to the doctor for anything. My mom suffered with hip stuff for like a long time. And honestly, she should have gotten surgery for her hip when I was back in high school. But anytime that people like, because everybody noticed, I mean, she would put her hand on her hip to add pressure on it. She couldn't sit in like a theater. You know how theater seats are just like so close to each other? She couldn't sit there. Like she had to sit where her like left leg could be sticking out, and that kind of stuff. And so everybody noticed that, and people would ask, well, what would the doctor do? And her immediate response would be, the doctor wouldn't do anything. FYI, my mom and I have the same doctor, and I know for a pure fact that our doctor would have done something. If my mom would have actually went in there and talked to her and said, hey, I'm trying to put off surgery. What can I do to just like manage the pain? You know, my doctor would have totally respected that and would have come up with a good plan, you know, to help manage things. And so it's really hard growing up in a family where like the two women in your family, and even just like, I was going to say something else, but I don't know where my thought was going with that. But we're like two women in your family who are, as women, I feel like we're taught to basically like downplay our health issues. I don't think that helps. I don't think it helps having these two women in the family who are women and probably end up downplaying their health issues, but also who are anti-medical and anti-pharmaceutical people. I don't think that's very helpful. I don't think those are the people that should have been influencing me in my choices when it comes to health. And so it's very, very difficult because what I fear the most right now is both of my parents are diabetic. And so I think what we're planning on is if they end up needing medical, um, not needing medical stuff, but if one of us obviously has to take care of my parents, it's going to be my sister. And what I am just fearful of is that because she's so anti pharmaceutical and medical, that she's not going to be bringing my parents to the doctor to actually continue treatment with the diabetes. What I will say too is with my parents, um, I know the one day, like, my mom was like, "Should I cancel this appointment with this doctor? I know something showed up on the scan." And so she ended up canceling this appointment, and I was like, "Dude, like, if I what was shown up on the scan." My parents are very, very, like, private, even with us as kids, of what's going on health-wise, which I don't like, because secrecies just kill, honestly. And so I finally talked to my mom and I told her, like, if there is ever something showing up on a scan or test result that needs further evaluation, I effing hope to God, like, you take it seriously and you get it checked out because I had to tell her, I was like, I don't want a situation happening where something pops up on a scan or whatever, and you're like, "Oh, I'm not having symptoms right now, so I'm not gonna get it checked out," and then ends up being like cancer or something, you know? And so I kinda had that talk with her, and I did talk to her about like our doctor because I know my sister has not had good experiences with doctors, and I know a lot of people haven't. But my sister kind of starts to drill into my mom's head that doctors don't care about you. They only treat the symptoms. They don't care about you as a whole person. They she is dead ass convinced that doctors don't know how medicine really truly affects the body. And I'm just like, I had to re-talk to my mom and be like, this is what I know about our doctor, and explain it from there. So yeah, it's hard to navigate the whole, like, medical stuff. Um, I think I said it earlier, but my dad is really, really good about medical stuff, but he still tries to play off a lot of his issues and whatever, or, like, wait forever until it really truly becomes an issue. I really had to teach my parents and, like, teach myself that preventing is better than treating. And my parents have this belief that, like, when it comes to medical stuff, they just have the belief of, "Oh, it is what it is." So they already have diabetes, but they don't want to try and, like, adjust what they're eating to see if help sugar levels. Um, and so I think having that mindset of it is what it is for them really does translate into, like, why even try? Because if they already have the diagnosis and it's being managed by medication, then why should they try? And I don't think they understand that their medications is not treating the condition, it's just managing the condition. It's not treating it, you're just managing it. And so I really had to just kind of figure out my own belief, and it's been a road. Um, Thankfully, I started really falling apart in 2022, and I was seeing my doctor a lot. And so I was able to actually form a good doctor patient relationship with my doctor, and um, getting patient portal really helped as well because a lot of times what I do now is I let things kind of linger a little bit insanely long. And then I'll like message my doctor to kind of just like let her know. And then it's her call at that point if I need to come in or not. When it comes to respiratory things right now, what I do is I generally try and wait a week and just kind of manage it, and I'll change it on. And then at that point, I will, like, end of the week, if things aren't getting better, if things are definitely staying the same, then I will get an appointment to see my doctor. Um, as far as like actual pain, if I think I like I'm getting a muscle spasm or something like that, or even just like a UTI or anything else, I sprain like muscles all the time, so that's nothing new for me. What I do now is I know how to treat it at home because I went to the doctor and she told me like what I can do at home to try and see if it gets better before basically like needing to come in to be seen. So I try my at home things and I try it for at least 2 days, and then if things aren't improving in 2 days, then I call and make an appointment. So yeah, it's been a journey to kind of just figure things out on my own. Um Usually that's what I would do in general too. Like if I heard something and I'm not 100% sure if it was a muscle spasm or not, then wait for 2 days, do what I can at home. And if things aren't improving, either like message my doctor about it and see if I need to go in or just call and make the appointment and go in. So it's been a journey. And yeah, um, you can too, though, figure out your own medical beliefs and everything like that. The thing is, honestly, because like crap. I mean, I know my mom is dead convinced that if a student is sick and they want to miss school, she's convinced that if they straight up say, "Hey, can I get a note to Miss